1, check 2. Check, check, check. Check, check. Okay. All right. Shut up. Okay. Um. Okay. Um. Testing. Add. 1, 2. Okay. That's what I'm saying. That's reasonable. Okay. Um. I was hoping I could read on them from okay. Yeah. Now I see. All right. Well, using my computer, I'm using the OBS. We'll see if my computer works with this. I don't know that part. It's old, and I mean that's the goal, right? Right now, I'm just trying to set up, but I do a mic check, so you'll let me know if you're not hearing anything. All right, here's the mic. Okay. All right, let's try it out. I mean, I did some prep. Okay. Well, this is more is the number to deal with for reach anything. So hopefully it goes well. Alright, I'm gonna go small. Down here, little tiny. Ah, dude. There we go. This. Ooh. Alright, here we go. Tracking coding queue. 180 questions. So no, I won't be showcasing the whole book. I say Amazon or Barnes & Noble or preferred place you get books and buy this in it. I think as someone who got a bachelor's arts in writing, it's great that authors are able to make, if there are examples, well, that's a different thing. And if I'm writing at work, also a different thing. So, when's that comes? For one, best-selling interview book, tracking the coding interview. I am not a recruiter, I'm a software engineer, and as such, oh, what it is like to ask to whip up brilliant algorithms on the spots and then write flawless code on a whiteboard. Been through this as a candidate and as an interviewer. Tracking the coding interview edition is here to help you through this process, teaching you what you need to know, enabling you at your very best. I've coached and interviewed hundreds of software engineers. The result is this book. And for the learn how to uncover the hints and hidden details of Siren. In a question, figure out to break down a problem in manageable chunks developed and experience stick yourself. Check or learn core computer science concepts. Practice 9. Interview questions and solutions. Interview questions are real. They're not pulled out of books. Reflect what's really being asked. Job companies, you can be as prepared as possible. Guide 189 programming interview questions ranging from basics to the trickiest algorithm prompts. Walk through how to drive each solution so that you can learn how to get of each of the 100, just like you get in a real interview. 5 proven strategies, tackle algorithm so that you can solve questions. Extensive coverage of topics such as big O time, data structures, and core algorithms. Behind the scenes, how top companies like Google and Facebook developers prepare for and the soft side of your server questions, errors, and company details and what good interview question process. Alright, that's for I find something doesn't just because that's no. Alright, I do that. Pop in. Okay. Okay, here we go. Do that. Open that book. Open. Oh, nice. Title page. On over. Title page. Alright. I'm gonna watch myself for a little. Because for Davis and Tobin, all the things that life. Okay. So contents, arts, etc. Interview process. Part 1. Behind the scenes, Part 2. Vision, Part 3. Part 4 is before the interview. Part 5 is behavioral questions. Part 6 is Big O. Part 7 is tip. Part 8 is and beyond. Part 9 is interview questions. Following to the following categories. Concepts, rhythms, knowledge-based. Now, if it's one thing, it's I passed the master for the time I was having with that basic review. Okay. Just your prompt. Then part 10 part 11 is advanced topic. Part 12 is the code. Part 13 is out. Alright. Okay. Here we go. Oh, I was hoping there was some kind of component go to the website and you can download this prompt book, readers, auto, and seek additional. Alright. Here. Let's get the introduction. From top. It is not. Yes. Here we are. Let's get the out of the way. Not a recruiter, software engineer. Such know what it's like to be asked to whip up. Okay. As such, I know what it's like to be asked to whip up brilliant algorithms and spot them. All this code and whiteboard. Not because I've been asked to do the same thing. Google, Microsoft, Apple, and other companies. I said no, because I've been on the other side of the table asking candidates to do this. I've combed through stacks of resumes to find the interview who I thought might be able to actually pass interviews. I've evaluated them as they tried to solve challenging questions, and I've debated in Google's hiring committee whether a candidate did well enough to be an author. Beyond the full hiring circle, I've been through it all repeatedly. You, reader, are probably preparing for an interview, perhaps tomorrow, week, or next year. I'm here to help you solidify your interview. Learn how to apply those fundamentals to crack the 6th edition of Cracking the Coding Interview updates the 5th edition with 70% more content. Additional questions, revised solutions, new chapter introduction, more algorithm strategies for all problems, the content. Be sure to check out our website, Cracking, etc. to connect with other candidates, discover new 6th edition tracking updates. Sorry, I'm excited for you. Skills you're going to develop. Survey preparation. A wide range of skills. Oh, cynical probably. I got so used to being. I was feeling like, well, well worth it. Where are the effort takes. I encourage you to read introductory chapters carefully. They contain important insights that just might make the difference between a hire and a no hire. Oh, yeah, I hear you. It's just trying to like tell you how you can find a community of like-minded people who are likely in the same position, and that's not a bad idea to look into. I'm just not trying to. I remember interviews are hard. My many years of interviews with Google, I saw some interviewers ask easy questions, while others ask harder questions. What? And easy questions make it easier to get out there. Receiving an offer is not about solving questions flawlessly. Very few candidates do. Rather, it's about answering questions better than other candidates. So don't stress out. A tricky question. Everyone else probably thought it was hard too. It's okay not to be flawless. Or practice. Good luck. So much luck is needed. What's going on? Gayle, Gal, our CEO of career.com, spelled CRE.com. Founder CEO, author of Cracking and Cracking That Career. Alright, something wrong. He walked out of the hiring meeting frustrated. Of the 10 candidates that day, gave offers. Being too harsh? I in particular. They rejected one of my candidates, a former student, one I had referred. He had a 3.73 GPA from the University of Washington, one of the best computer science schools in the world. I had done extensive work, open source projects, energetic, creative, sharp, worked hard. He was a true geek in all the best ways. I had to agree with the rest of the committee. Data wasn't there, even if my empathetic recommendation persuaded them to reconsider would surely get rejected in the stages of the hiring process. There were just two red flags. Although he was quite intelligent, he struggled to solve the interview problems. Most successful candidates could fly through the first question. There was a twist on a well-known problem. He had trouble developing an algorithm. When he came up with one, he failed to consider solutions that optimized for other scenarios. Finally, when he began coding, he flew through the code with a solution, but it was riddled with mistakes that he failed to catch. Though he wasn't the worst candidate reached by any measure, he was far in the bar. Rejected. He asked back over the phone a couple of weeks later. I struggled with what to tell him. Smarter? Now I knew he was brilliant. He a better coder? Now his skills were on par with some of the best I'd seen. Like many motivated candidates, he had prepared extensively. He read DNR's classic C book and he reviewed CLRS's famous algorithms textbook. He could describe in detail the myriad of ways balancing a tree, and he could do things at speed that no sane programmer should ever want to do. I had to tell him the fortunate truth. Books enough. Academic books prepare you for fancy research. They will probably make you a better software engineer, but they're not sufficient for interviews. Why? Give you a hint. Interviewers haven't read black trees as they were in school either. They were in school either. To crack the coding interview, you are with real interview questions. You must practice on real problems and learn the patterns. It's about developing a fresh algorithm, not memorizing. Cracking the coding interview, the result of my first-hand experience at top companies and later coaching candidates through these interviews. It is a result of hundreds of conversations with candidates. It is a result of the thousands of questions contributed by candidates. It's the result of seeing so many interview questions. Those in this book are 189 of the best interview questions selected from thousands of potential problems. My approach. The focus of cracking the coding interview is algorithm, coding, and design questions. Why? As well, you can and will be asked behavioral questions. Answers will be as varied as your resume. Likewise, while many firms will ask so-called trivia questions, e.g., what is your virtual function? The skills developed practicing questions are limited to various knowledge. The book will briefly touch questions to show you your life. What I've chosen to ask these two areas more to learn. Passion. Teaching is my passion. Helping people understand new concepts, giving them tools to help them excel in their passion. My first official experience teaching was in college at the University of Pennsylvania, and I became a teacher for an undergraduate computer science course during my second year. I went on to TA for several other courses, and I eventually launched my own computer science career focused on hands-on skills. As an engineer at Google, training and mentoring new engineers are some of the things I enjoyed most. I even used my 20% time to teach 2 computer science courses at the University of Washington. Now, years later, I continue to teach computer science concepts, this time with the goal of preparing engineers at startups for their acquisition interviews. I've seen their mistakes and struggles. I've developed techniques and strategies to help them combat those very issues. Cracking the coding interview, cracking the PM interview, cracking the tech career, and career cup reflect my passion for teaching. Even now, you can often find me hanging out at careercup.com, helping users who stop by for assistance. Join us, McDowell. Okay. Part 1. Interview process. At most of the top tech companies and many other companies, algorithm and coding problems form the largest component of the interview process. Think of these as problem-solving questions. The interviewer is looking to evaluate your ability to solve algorithmic problems you haven't seen before. Very often, only one question, 45 minutes is not a long time, as it's difficult to get through several different questions in a time frame. You should do your best to talk out loud throughout the problem. This is helpful for that. Talking out loud time. Anyway, there we go. You should do your best to talk out loud throughout the problem and explain your thought process as. Your interviewer might jump in sometimes to help you. Let them. Well, it doesn't really mean that you're doing poorly. That said, of course, not meaning it's even better. At the end of the interview, the interviewer will walk away with a gut feel or how you did. A numeric score might be assigned to your performance, but it's not actually a quantitative assessment. It's a chart that says how many points you get for different things. It just doesn't work like that. Rather, interviewer will make an assessment of performance based on the following: analytical skills. Need much help solving the problem? How optimal was your solution? How long did it take you to arrive at a solution? Okay. If you had to design or architect a new solution, did you structure the problem well and think through the trade-offs? Different decisions. Coding skills. Were you able to successfully translate your algorithm to reasonable code? Was it clean and well organized? Think about potential errors. Did you use good style? Technical knowledge / computer science fundamentals. Do you have a strong foundation in science, relevant technologies? Experience. Have you made good technical decisions in the past? Have you built interesting, challenging projects? Have you shown drive, initiative, and other important factors? No. There's a problem. It's like, okay, I did things in grad school. Yes. Some things I remember. Most of the things I don't. Some things I have evidence of. Not really. Most of the others. Okay. Culture fit. Communication skills. It's together. Culture fit / communication skills. Do your personality sometimes and values fit with the company and team? Did you communicate well with your interviewer? If I don't at least have that, then I don't know what I've been doing for the last 20 years. Alright. The weighting of these areas will vary based on the question. Your role, team, and company. A standard algorithm question might be almost entirely the first 3 of those. Weighting of these areas vary based on the question. Interview, role, team, and company. And a standard algorithm question, entirely the first 3 of those. I assume the question interviewing the role. Okay. Why? This is one of the most common questions to have as they get start this process. Why do things this way? Question. Okay. Here on. Lots of good candidates don't do well in these sorts of interviews. 2. You could look up the answer if it did ever come up. 3. You really have to use data structures such as binary search trees in the real world. Did need to, you could surely learn it. 4. Whiteboard coding is an artificial environment. You would never code on the whiteboard in the real world, obviously. These complaints aren't without merit. In fact, I agree with all of them, at least in part. At the same time, there is reason to do things this way for some, not all positions. It's not important that you agree with logic, but it is a good idea to understand why these questions are asked. It helps offer little insight to the interviewer's minds. False negatives are sad and frustrating, but true. From the company's perspective, it's actually acceptable that some good candidates are rejected. The company is out to build a great set of employees, except they miss out on some good people. They prefer not to, of course, as it raises recruiting costs. It is an acceptable trade-off, though, provided they can still hire enough good people. Far more concerned with false positives, people who do well in an interview that are not, in fact, very good. Problem solving skills are valuable. You're able to work through several hard problems. Oh, crap. You're probably pretty good at developing optimal algorithms. You're smart. Smart people tend to do good things, and that's valuable at a company. Not the only thing that matters, of course, but it is a really good thing. Basic data structure and algorithm knowledge is useful. Many interviewers argue that basic computer knowledge is in fact useful. Understanding trees, graphs, lists, sorting, other knowledge does come up periodically. It does. It's really valuable. Should you learn it as needed? Sure. But it's very difficult to know that you should use a binary search tree if you don't know of its existence. And if you do know of its existence, you pretty much know the basics. Other engineers justify the reliance on data structures and algorithms by arguing that it's a good proxy. Even if the skills won't be that hard to learn on their own, these reasonably well correlate with developer that you've either gone through a computer science program, in case you've learned and retained a reasonably broad set of technical knowledge, or learned this stuff on your own. Either way, it's a good sign. There's another reason why data structure and algorithm knowledge comes up, because it's hard to ask problem solving questions that don't involve them. Turns out that the vast majority of problem solving questions involve some of these basics. And enough candidates know the basics. Easy to get into the power of asking questions with them. Whiteboards let you focus on what matters. It's absolutely true that you struggle. Oh, sorry. It's absolutely true that you'd struggle with writing perfect code on a whiteboard. Fortunately, your interview doesn't expect that. Virtually everyone has some bugs or minor syntactical errors. The nice thing about a whiteboard is that in some ways you can focus on the big picture. You don't have a compiler. You don't need to make your code compile. You don't need to write the entire class definition in boilerplate code. You get to focus on the interesting, quote unquote, meaty parts of the code function. The question is really all about. That's not to say that you should just write pseudocode or that correctness doesn't matter. Most viewers aren't okay with pseudocode, and fewer errors are better. Whiteboards also tend to encourage candidates to explore and explain their thought process. When a candidate is given a computer, their communication drops substantially. But it's not for everyone, for every company, or every situation. The above sections are intended to help you understand the thought process of the company. My personal thoughts? For the right situation, and well, it's a reasonable judge of someone's problem solving skills. People who do well and do be fairly smart. However, it's often not done very well. With bad interviews, bad interviewers, or people who just ask bad questions. Also not appropriate for all companies. Some companies should value someone's prior experience more or need skills in particular technologies. These sort of questions don't put much weight on that. It also won't measure someone's work ethic or ability to focus. And again, almost no interview process really evaluate this. Not a perfect process by any means. What is? All interview processes have their downsides. Leave you with this is what it is. So let's do the best we can with it. How questions are selected. Candidates frequently ask what their quote unquote reason to interview questions are at a specific company. Just asking this question reveals the fundamental misunderstanding of where questions come from. The vast majority of companies, there are no lists of what interviewers should ask. Rather, each interviewer reflects their own questions. Since it's somewhat of a quote unquote free for all, as far as questions, there's nothing that makes a question, quote unquote, recent Google interview question, other than the fact that some interviewer who happens to work at Google just so happened to ask that question recently. The questions asked this year at Google do not really differ from those asked 3 years ago. In fact, the questions asked at Google generally differ from those asked at similar companies, on Facebook, etc. There are some broad differences across companies. Some companies focus on algorithms, often with system design worked in, and others really like knowledge-based questions. But within a given category of question, there is little that makes it quote unquote belong one company instead of another. A Google algorithm question is essentially the same as a Facebook algorithm question. All relative. If there's no grading system, how are you evaluated? How does an interviewer know what to expect of you? Good question. Answer actually makes a lot of sense once you understand it. Interviewers assess you relative sorry, interviewers assess you relative to other candidates on the question by the same interviewer. It's a relative comparison. For example, suppose you came up with a whole new brain teaser or math problem. You ask your friend Alex a question, and it takes him 30 minutes to solve it. You ask Bella, and she ABC, let's go. You ask Bella and she takes 50 minutes. Chris is never able to solve it. Dexter takes 15 minutes, so you had to give him some major hints, and you probably would have taken far longer without them. Allie takes 10 and comes up with an alternative approach you weren't even aware of. Fred takes 35 minutes. You walk away saying, wow, Ellie did really well. I bet she's pretty good at math. Or she could have just gotten lucky. Maybe Chris got unlucky. You might ask a few more questions just to really make sure that it wasn't good or bad luck. Sorry. Interview questions are much the same way, aside from the grad school. That was great. I enjoyed that. I was looking forward to more success happening. Ending. Interview questions are much the same way. Your interviewer develops a feel for your performance by comparing you to other people. It's not about the candidates she's interviewing. It's about all the candidates that she's ever asked this question to. For this reason, getting a hard question isn't a bad thing. When it's harder for you, it's harder for everyone. It doesn't make it any less likely that you'll do well. Frequently questions. I didn't hear back immediately after the interview. Rejected? No. There's a number of reasons why a company's decision is delayed. Very simple explanation is that one of your interviewers hasn't provided their feedback yet. Very few companies have a policy not responding to tasks they reject. If you haven't heard back from a company, then 3 to 5 business days after your interview, check in politely with your recruiter. Can I reapply to a company after being rejected? Almost always, but you typically have to wait a bit, 6 months to a year. Your first bad interview usually won't have bad to you too much. Or when you re-interview, lots of people get rejected from Google or Microsoft and later get offers for them. Good to know. Oh, enjoy. That's it. One. I'll use some water. Ooh. Oh, this is much simpler to read than that. So I'm just saying, English language is great for the foreign dummies, but I always as far as the image. But right now, nothing to share as the image. Yay. Alright, I need water though. Okay. Beautiful sound. Okay. 2. Behind the which it's nice to like be able to check my phone and not have to worry about getting okay, great. If my boyfriend calls. Alright, here we go. 2. Behind the scenes. Most companies conduct their interviews in very similar ways. We'll offer an overview of how companies interview and what they're looking for. This information should guide your interview preparation and your reactions during and after the interview. Once you are set for an interview, usually go through a screening interview. This is typically conducted over the phone. Oof. I did have a Zoom screening interview, I think, but then again, COVID was starting to do its thing, so I don't know. 50, maybe both. I still look forward to trying again at the same company later now that I'm a graduate. Don't let the name fool you. This quote unquote screening interview, screening quote unquote, and then interview often involves coding and algorithms questions. And the bar could be just as high as it is for in-person interviews. But I definitely didn't have my, was not bringing my game for, it had been a while since I had done coding. That did not help. Yeah. Anyway, if you're unsure whether or not the interview will be technical, ask the recruiting coordinator what position your interviewer holds and what the interview might cover. The interviewer will usually perform a technical interview. Many companies, really, that's interesting. Many companies have taken advantage of online synchronized document editors, but others will expect you to write code on paper and read it back over the phone. Some interviewers may even give you homework to solve after you hang up the phone or just ask you to email them the code you wrote. You typically do 1 or 2 screening interviews before being brought on site. In an on-site interview round, usually have 3 to 6 in-person interviews. Really enjoy. One of these is often over lunch. Just joking about the lunch. Okay, I really need to practice my lunch skills. The lunch interview is usually not technical, and the interviewer may not even submit feedback. This is a good person to discuss your interests with. Sure, this is a good person to discuss your interests with. To ask about the company culture. For other interviews, it will be mostly technical and will involve a combination of coding, algorithm, design slash architecture, and behavioral slash experience questions. The distribution of questions between above topics varies between companies and teams due to company priorities, size, and just pure randomness. Interviewers are often given a good deal of freedom in their interview questions. After you after your interview, your interviewers will provide feedback in some form. In some companies, your interviewers together to discuss your performance come to a decision. Other companies, interviewers submit a recommendation to a hiring manager or hiring committee to make a final decision. In some companies, interviewers don't even make the decision. Their feedback goes to a hiring committee to make a decision. Most companies get back after about a week with next steps, offer, rejection, further interviews, or just an update on the process. Some companies respond much sooner, sometimes same day, and others take much longer. If you have waited more than a week, you should follow up with your recruiter. If your recruiter does not respond, does not that you are rejected, at least not at any major tech company, almost any other company. Let me repeat that again. Not responding is nothing about your status. Intention is that all recruiters to tell candidates once a final decision is made. Please, can and do happen. Follow up with your recruiter. Let the delay. Be respectful when you do. Recruiters, just like you, get busy and forgetful too. A little concerned. I did run myself out yesterday. Hey. Oh, I can't see the secretary, but I will see W. You know, oh, really? You would laugh about the homework? Okay. I mean, it was in quotes, but I assume it's the same idea as what I had to do in school. I'm just used to having homework at this point. Also, working people and their homework. So I don't know. Like, again, I'm just used to the idea. Between all the school I've been doing and all the school I work in, it's like, okay, homework, whatever. Sure. What are you doing? I'm doing right now. I could probably be just, I can't. I can't. I'm not used to taking exercise, kind of mess my brain up. Grad school kind of in good ways, but it's like I don't have any chill. I don't, especially that this year's been going. Okay, here we go. The Microsoft interview. Microsoft wants smart people, geeks, people who are passionate about technology. You probably won't be tested on the ins and outs of C plus APIs. You will be expected to write code on the board. Typical interview. You'll show up at Microsoft at some time in the morning and fill out initial paperwork. Have a short interview with a recruiter who will give you a sample question. Recruiter is apparently a lot of recruiters are let go. So it's like, oh, so I wonder how much of this has changed with the latest happenings of recruiters and a lot of these, especially Amazon, etc., are being. That seems like different. It's like one of the things they're bringing up. I was watching Ghost Jobs, I think it was about. It's like that's literally their job. Their job of recruiters is to go and know things about hiring, what's available, and what's the salaries and this. But when they're getting let go, and then suddenly these people who are not really know about all of that because that's not really what their role has been are now in charge of that. How does this affect things? I don't know, but let's just pretend I will luck out like crazy and find recruiters and deal with recruiters. Yes, let's pretend that. Okay. In a typical interview, you'll show up at Microsoft at some time and fill out initial paperwork. You'll have a short interview with a recruiter who will give you a sample question. Your recruiter is usually there to prep you, not to grill you on technical questions. Get asked some basic technical questions. It may be because the recruiter wants to ease you into the interview so that you're less nervous when the real interview starts, I guess. Fine. Be nice to your recruiter. Your recruiter can be your biggest advocate, even pushing to re-review you if you stumbled on the first interview. They can fight for you to be hired or not. Oh, really? During the day, you'll do 4 or 5 interviews. Really? Okay. Often with 2 different teams. Unlike many companies where you meet your peers in a conference room, you'll meet with your Microsoft interviewers in their office. This is a great time to look around and get a feel for the team culture. Good thing I'm used to dealing with classrooms, random classrooms. That's my job. So I've got a good handle on getting the feel and reading rooms. Trying to be like, oh, you're into this? Great. Okay. Oh, all right. Oh, okay. Maybe I can help. Maybe that can help with learning. I hope. Uh, let's see. Depending on the team, interviewers may or may not share their you. Feedback on you. That's a weird way to do that. You like your performance or something? Whatever. Sure. Okay. Depending on the team, interviewers may or may not share their feedback on you with the rest of the interview loop. You complete your interviews with a team. I speak with a hiring manager, often called the as app stored or as appropriate. If so, that's a great sign. It likely means that you passed it with your team. It's now down to the hiring manager's decision. Might get a decision that day, or it might be a week. After 1 week of no word from HR, send an email asking for a status update. If your recruiter isn't very responsive, it's because she's busy, not because you're being silently rejected. Oh, no ghost rejecting going on? Okay. Good, maybe. I guess technically they could do that easy, like part that was closer to. Definitely prepare. Quote, why do you want to work for Microsoft? Unquote. This question, Microsoft wants to see that you're passionate about technology. Your answer might be, you know, actually, not only have I like answer that they have, I agree with, but also I'm like, after I've consistently had opportunities to try Apple, so I wouldn't be good at Apple. I've consistently tried Apple, and it has not impressed me. It's like, no, Microsoft, every time. Microsoft has just been like, oh, that's cool, wow, 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 wow. And I remember like all the stages of Microsoft since me and all of the ways it's been. I was so bummed when my laptop right here stopped being able to qualifying for Windows 11. And now they're about to, come October 2025, they're about to say goodbye to supporting Windows 10. And but anyway, the point is, yay! Love Microsoft. Oh, and visual, just as a user, but then also as someone who's been selling coding. Visual code is a fun time. I love, especially you can set up with the colors and stuff. Visual community, oh, it definitely is my go-to. Those are definitely my go-to IDEs. All right, focusing. So just what can I say? They've got a history. They're usually pretty good at and on top of their stuff. And just for those people who are direct users and sole users, but also for people who are trying to make things. Great times. So yeah, I probably would be okay with that one. In this question, Microsoft wants to see that you're passionate about technology. A great answer might be, I'm using Microsoft software as long as I can remember. And I'm really impressed at how Microsoft manages to create product that's universally excellent. For example, okay, that's pretty much what I said, but let's play. For example, I've been using Visual Studio, yes, recently to learn game programming, as APIs are excellent. Note how this shows a passion for technology. See, I didn't have as much, so I don't know. Yeah, I would have gotten like out of a 5-point scale, I probably would have 3.5. All right, what's unique? But that's probably a bad thing. You only reach the hiring manager if you've done well. So if you do, that's a great sign. Okay, with them. Additionally, Microsoft tends to give teams more individual control, and the product set is diverse. Experiences can vary substantially across Microsoft since different teams look for different things. Alright. This one is probably the one I'm gonna have to hit first because they're close. Yes, they are. I have been there. I've been there. I went to a nice little chat for COVID. Amazon, local one. They were talking about 5G and some of the things they're looking forward to with the start of 5G. pre-COVID, before COVID started happening. The Amazon interview. Amazon's recruiting process typically begins with a phone screen, which a candidate interviews with a specific team. A small version of the time, a candidate may have two or more interviews, which can indicate either that one of their interviewers wasn't convinced or that they are being considered for a different team or profile. More unusual cases, such as when a candidate is local or is recently interviewed for a different position, a candidate may only do one phone screen. The engineer who interviews you will usually ask you to write simple code via a shared document editor. They will also often ask a broad set of questions to explore what areas of technology you're familiar with. Is that a thing? Yes, that's my familiarity with some of these things. Oh no, I don't know. But hopefully this book is helpful. Okay. Alright. Engineer who interviews you will ask you to write some code via. Yes, you read this. Yes. Next, you fly to Seattle. Oh no. Okay. I mean, technically, I don't think I have to. Again, there is a local. That would be kind of weird. I'm not trying to work Seattle. I like California. Next, you fly to Seattle or whichever office you have there. Thank you. Yes, parentheses. Parentheticals. Local one. Or whichever office you're interviewing for 4 or 5 interviews. Oh, yay. With 1 or 2 teams that have selected you based on your resume and phone interviews. You will have to code on a whiteboard, and some interviewers will stress other skills. Interviewers are each assigned a specific area to probe and may be very different from each other. They cannot see other feedback until they have submitted their own. They are discouraged from discussing it until the hiring meeting. The bar raiser, quote, bar raiser, interviewer, charged with keeping the interview bar high. They attend special training and accounts outside their group in order to balance out the group itself. One interview seems significantly harder and different. That's most likely the bar raiser. The person has most significant experience with interviews and veto power in the hiring decision. Remember though, just because you seem to be struggling more in this interview doesn't mean you're actually doing worse. Your performance is judged relative to other candidates. It's not evaluated on a simple percent correct basis. Once your interviewers have interviewed their feedback, need to discuss it. They will be the people making the hiring decision. While Amazon's recruiters are usually excellent at following up with candidates, occasionally there are delays. If you haven't heard from Amazon within a week, I recommend Finley now. Definitely prepare. Amazon cares a lot about scale. Make sure you prepare for scalability questions. You'll need a background in distributed systems to answer these questions. Here are recommendations in the design scalability chapter. Yay! I did take distributed systems course. That's something. Pretty sure. Additionally, Amazon tends to ask a lot of questions about object-oriented design. I learned a lot of that. Thing is there. Check out the object-oriented design chapter for sample questions. I love this book. Thank you, book. I need a reminder. Reminder. All right, here we go. What's unique? Bar raiser is brought in from a different team to keep the bar high. You need to impress both this person and the hiring manager. Amazon tends to experiment more with its hiring process than other companies do. The process described here is a typical experience, but due to Amazon's experimentation, it's not necessarily universal. The Google interview. There are many scary rumors floating around about Google interviews, but they're mostly just that, rumors. Interview is not terribly different from Microsoft's or Amazon's. Google engineer performs the first phone screen, so expect tough technical questions. These questions may involve coding, sometimes via shared document. Candidates are typically held to the same standard and are asked similar questions on phone screens as in on-site interviews. On your on-site interviews, you'll interview with 4 to 6 people, one of whom will be a lunch interviewer. Interviewer feedback is kept confidential from the other interviewers. You can be assured that you enter each interview with a blank slate. Your lunch interviewer doesn't submit feedback, so this is a great opportunity to ask honest questions. Viewers are typically not given specific focuses. There is no quote structure, unquote, or quote system, unquote, as to what you're asked when. Each interview can conduct the interview however she would like. Written feedback submitted to a hiring committee of engineers and managers make a hire/no hire recommendation. Feedback is typically broken down into 4 categories. Analytical ability, coding, experience, and communication. And you are given an overall score from 1.0 to 4.0. The HC usually does not include of your interviewers. If it does, it was purely by random chance. To extend an offer, the HC wants to see at least one interviewer who is an quote enthusiastic endorser, unquote. In other words, a packet with scores of 3.6, 3.1, 3.1, and 2.6 is better than all 3.1s. Do not necessarily excel in every interview. Phone screen performance is not phone screen. I'm like, which screen? Phone? What? No, the screening and killing me. Okay, and your phone screening performance is usually not a strong factor in final decision. If the hiring committee recommends an offer, your packet will go to a compensation committee, then to the executive management committee. Turning a decision can take several weeks. Oh no, really? Oh no. Because there are so many stages and committees, and that was the goal. That was the dream. Google was the dream. I don't know. I don't know. It took me so long. It just took me so long. It took me like double to do grad school than I thought it would. Kind of dismal, and we'll see what happens. Definitely prepare. As a web-based company, Google cares about how to design a scalable system. Make sure you prepare for questions from system design and scalability. Google puts a strong focus on analytical algorithm skills, regardless of experience. You should be very well prepared for these questions, even if you think your prior experience should count for more. And blank slate. But I don't already have learned in grad school. Don't know. I work in education, and no, not for computers. No, we're talking about pre-K through 12th grade, and like twice I managed to. Mostly the kids know what to do all by themselves for that. All right. Okay, 3 times. That's the little kids. Basically you just like, here's typing. Okay. Okay, so Alright. What's different? Your interviewers do not make the hiring decision. They should have just said that instead. Your interviewers do not make the hiring decision. Rather, they enter feedback, which is passed to a hiring committee. The hiring committee recommends a decision, which can be, or is, rejected by Google executives. Oh, speaking of the Apple, there's this thing. I think it's kind of going over that. There's this thing called Fame. That supposed to be Facebook and I believe it's Amazon. I don't know. It might be, and then Google. So yeah, this is about to really go into that. The Apple interview, much like the company itself. Again, I don't. That'd be kind of funny and ironic. Like as a personal preference, let's put it that way. As a personal preference, not really. But as someone who was briefly a film actor, I understand how Apple's products tend to be very good when you're trying to do things like music editing, photo editing, etc. And I could see me having Apple product for work things. And I do appreciate the fact that what the weekend he was able to his film or so much of the film, the music video for Dancing in Flames, fully with the latest iPhone, which is awesome. So I guess I could gush a bit. Down that point of view, much like the company itself, Apple's interview process has minimal bureaucracy. The interviewers will be looking for excellent technical skills with a passion for the position and the company. uh-huh. Again, it's there. I just have to remember. um, I could make a case for Apple or Microsoft. I'm not like one or the other. It's like even I was never like a Sega versus it. I like all of it. All of it. Great. I mean, I didn't have much, but it's like I was still being like, oh, this is lovely. Or and then later getting to Game of Hearts, it's like I had to get what it was on. So I was just like, whatever. PlayStation 2, got it. Gonna get that. Gonna get that. Okay, great, got it. Oh, Cheetah Memories, that's gonna come on Nintendo DS. Oh, great, great. Let's get that. Nintendo. Yes, beautiful. Oh, what? The next thing that I want to play is gonna be PS Vita. Okay, great, great. Michael, Michael, my brother, dearest brother, can I borrow your can I borrow that, please? Okay, thank you. The other interview, much like the company itself, Apple's interview process has a bureaucracy. The interviewers will be looking for excellent technical skills, but a passion for the position of the company is also very important. While it's not a prerequisite to be a Mac user, you should at least be familiar with the system. And I do appreciate Unix. There's definitely overlap. I agree. Definitely less. And my one of my professors, my favorite, would concur to that. But I don't see Linux hiring. But also Apple does have a lot of like they're technically just built up on top of what Unix and effectively form of. Anyway, fun, fun. Um, familiar with the system. The interview process usually begins with a recruiter phone screen. Get a basic sense of your skills, followed up by a series of technical phone screens with team members. Once you're invited on campus, you'll typically be greeted by the recruiter who provides an overview of the process. You will have 6 to 8 interviews with members of the team, which you're interviewing, as well as key people with whom your team works. Right. You can expect a mix of one-on-one and two-on-one interviews. Be ready to code on a whiteboard and make sure all of your thoughts are clearly communicated. Lunches with your potential future manager and appears more casual, but it is still an interview. So go, hey, how are you doing? Each interviewer usually focuses on a different area and is discouraged for sharing feedback with other interviewer other sorry, there's a joke apparently. Okay. Other interviewers unless there's something they want subsequent interviewers drill into. Towards the end of the day, your interviewers will compare notes. Everyone still feels you're a viable candidate. You will have an interview with the director and VP of the organization which you're applying. While this decision is rather informal, it's a very good sign if you make it. Decision also happens behind this decision also happens behind the scenes. Don't pass, you'll simply be escorted out of the building without ever having been the wiser until now. Okay, if you made it to the director and VP interviews, all of your interviewers will gather in the conference room, give an official thumbs up or thumbs down. Typically won't be present, but can still veto hire if they weren't impressed. Your recruiter will usually follow up a few days later. Feel free to ping him or her for updates. Definitely prepare. If you know what team you're interviewing with, sure you read up on that product. What do you like about it? What would you improve? Offering specific recommendations to show your passion for the job. Definitely, what's unique? I don't know why that one time was different. What's unique about the unique feature? Apple does 2-on-1 interviews. Don't get stressed about them. It's the same as one-on-one interview. Also, Apple employees are huge Apple fans. You should show the same passion in your interview. Okay, I can. I just gotta, let's just say, family. But everybody else, iPhone, gotta have. So, probably better set up for that. Okay. The Facebook. Once selected for interview, candidates will generally do one or two phone screens. Phone screens are technical and will involve coding, usually online document. After the phone interviews, you might be asked to do a homework assignment. After, find your calendar. That's like a year. I've already done the graph follow up. It's happened, but it's a good reminder. Gotta stay up on my stuff. Got grad school done. I get into this too. Okay. The Facebook interview. Once selected for an interview, candidates will generally do one or two phone screens. Phone screens will be technical and will involve coding, usually online document entry. After the phone interviews, you might be asked to do a homework assignment that will include a mix of coding and algorithms. You teach it to your coding style here. If you've never worked in an environment which had thorough code reviews, it may be a good idea to get some guys who has your code. Oh, okay. Where does this person exist? I mean, yeah, where? During your on-site interview, is that your website? During your on-site interview, you will interview primarily with other software engineers. The hiring managers are also involved whenever they are available. All interviewers have gone through comprehensive interview training. Who you interview with has no bearing on each interviewer given a quote role unquote during the on-site, which helps ensure that there are no repetitive questions and they give holistic picture of a cabinet and dragons is popping up suddenly. Okay. These roles are behavioral. Oh, they are kind of great. I'm actually kind of liking that Facebook. Okay, you got me on that one. That's great. Behavioral, known as the Jedi. This interview assesses your ability to be successful in Facebook's environment. Would you fit well with the culture and values? What are you excited about? How do you tackle challenges? Be prepared to talk about your interests in Facebook as well. I got like one thing about Facebook and that. Oh, and all aside from that, Facebook wants passionate people. You might also be asked some coding questions in this interview. Coding algorithms, the ninja. Okay. These are your standard coding and algorithms questions, much like what you'll find in this book. These questions are designed to be challenging. You can use any programming language you want. Oh, see, so I gotta fly. See, I'm telling you, there's a reason why I'm trying to review plus because there's any that I should really, really know well, considering all of the. Oh, yeah, plus I like C, but sometimes it's nice not. C plus you kind of you need to, so you got the option. Okay, design architecture. The pirate. Okay, the pirate. For a backend software engineer, you might be asked system design questions. Front end or other specialties, ask design questions related to that discipline. You should openly discuss different solutions and their trade-offs. You can typically expect 2 ninja interviews and 1 Jedi interview. Experienced candidates will also usually get a pirate interview. After your interview, interviewers submit written feedback prior to discussing your performance with each other. This ensures that your performance in one interview will not bias another interview feedback. Once everyone's feedback is submitted, your interviewing team and a hiring manager get together to collaborate on a final decision. To consensus decision and submit a final hire recommendation to the hiring committee. Definitely prepare. I'm noticing a theme. Don't have that much money for apps. Oh, Apple, yeah, I hear you. Like I've I've effectively used Apple products for work or school. That's pretty much for like going to the Apple store and like looking like that looks nice. That's pretty. Okay. The youngest developer, the youngest of the quote elite quote tech companies, Facebook wants developers with an entrepreneurial spirit. Ooh, really? Okay. I don't know about that. In your interviews, you should show that you love to build stuff fast. Oh, really? Being fast? I mean, not unheard of. Okay. They want to know you can hack together an elegant and scalable solution using any language of choice. Knowing PHP is not especially important, particularly given that Facebook also does a lot of backend work in C++. Alright, Yay, Python, Erlang, spelled ERLANG, and other languages. What's unique? Facebook interviews developers for the company, quote, in general, unquote, not for a specific team. If you're hired, you will go through a 6-week, quote, boot camp, quote, which will help ramp you up in a massive code base. You'll get mentorship from senior devs, learn best practices, and ultimately get a greater flexibility in choosing a project than if you were assigned to a project in interview. I like that. That's fun. I'm like, oh boy, they're digging the little roles they got, the little nicknames, and I'm digging that way of the boot camp. That's interesting. Okay. Okay, so don't know who this is. Unlike the other ones I previously talked about this with, I don't know who this is. Um, Palantir, Palantir. The Palantir interview have some companies which do quote hold unquote interviews where you interview with a company as a whole, not with a specific team. Palantir interviews for a specific team. Occasionally, your application might be routed to another team where there is a better fit. The Palantir interview process typically starts with 2 phone interviews. These interviews are about 30 to 45 minutes and will be primarily technical. Expect to cover a bit about your prior experience, with a heavy focus on algorithm questions. It's a good thing. I had a lot of questions. It did take me through my stupid brain just focus. Alright, yay. Alright. Oh yeah, here's one of hackering. I'm gonna start doing some how my computer seems like it doesn't thing these days. And also like I said, out Windows and support. Oh no. But the code and hackering that could be good. You might also be sent a hackering coding assessment, which will evaluate your ability to write optimal algorithms and crack code. Less experienced candidates, such as those in college, particularly likely to get such a test. I would probably get it. After this, successful candidates are invited to campus and will interview with up to 5 people. For one on-site interviews cover your prior experience relevant in up to 5 people. Question holds. Still valid question. On-site interviews cover your prior experience relevant domain knowledge, data structures, and algorithms and design. You may also likely get a demo of Palantir's products. That's called research. That's what I need to research. Ask good questions. Demonstrate your passion for the company. If I find some good, maybe I do know them. I know them. After the interview, the interviewers meet to discuss your feedback with the hiring manager. Definitely prepare. Palantir values hiring brilliant engineers. Many candidates report that Palantir's questions were harder, okay, than those they saw at Google and other top companies. This doesn't necessarily mean it's hard to get an author, or although it certainly can. It just means interviewers prefer more challenging questions. If you're interviewing with Palantir, you should learn your core data structures and algorithms inside and out. Focus on preparing the hardest algorithm questions. Brush up on system design too. If you're interviewing for a backend role, this is an important part of the process. I think it's too far. Right here. It's not working. Do I literally need to do this? Do I need to do this? Helpful? Not helpful for me, but better. It's probably just the fact that I have wood floors. No sound. There's a delay, but better. Okay, what's unique? A coding challenge is a common part of volunteers process. Although be at your computer and can look up material as needed, don't walk into this unprepared. Questions can be extremely challenging. Efficiency of your algorithm be evaluated. Thorough interview preparation will help here. Also practice coding challenges online at hackerrank.com. Oh, come on, you can do sooner than that, Ryan. Okay, hear what I'm saying? Or are you joking? Joking again? I don't know what. Do I have to reread parts? Hmm. Good thing there's. Alright, I'll just pretend I did those first two parts perfectly and there weren't issues at all. And I because I need to. Okay, part three. Again, revenue numbers. Let's just Germany paths that lead someone. Look, perhaps you have more experience but have never done this sort of interview. Perhaps you're a tester or a PM tester for this job. Or perhaps you're actually using the book to teach yourself how to interview better. Here's a little something for all these quote special situations unquote. Experienced candidates. Some people assume that the algorithm style questions in the book are only for recent grads. That's me. That's not entirely true. More experienced learners might see slightly less focus on algorithm questions, but only slightly. If a company asks algorithm questions to ask them to experience guidance true, rightly or wrongly. Still, the skills demonstrated in questions are important in all development. Some interviewers might hold experience as somewhat lower standard. Here's the team. After all, it's been years since these candidates took an algorithms class. You're out of practice. Others, though, hold experience and to a higher standard, increasing the more years of experience allow a candidate to have seen many more types of problems. On average, balances out. Exception to this rule is system design and architecture questions. Well, questions about your resume. Typically, students don't study much architecture. Experience with such challenges would only come professionally. Performance Such interview questions evaluated with respect to experience level. However, students and recent graduates are still asked these questions to be prepared to solve them as well as they can. Oh, really? Uh, I have an idea. Like, if you're in the sense of various old um, programs deal with other programs, okay, there's some things I could mention to talk about. It's important. It is important for that nothing get digital. And then versing control, right? How like will mess everything up during process. Get like person. I got so many more second second class. I was like super stickler when it came to how things supposed to be done by who and who had what right to do what kind of upload, you know, able to put it on because I was trying to not deal with hours and hours and hours wasted dealing with merge conflicts. Oh yeah, and then when you like whole computer system, this computer being able to edit that computer into that computer, or even like where you have like a that is able, but I had to be able to like down to the fine tune. Most it's like works okay. These are just so interesting experienced candidates will be expected to give a more in-depth, impressive response to questions like, "Well, what's the hardest bug you face?" Oh, you have more experience. Answers to these questions should be so hopefully that means I don't like I know there's good but like as far as the ones where they something testers and SDETs, software design engineering test, write code, but to but test features instead of build features. As such, they have to be great coders, testers, double the prep work. Oh really? They're fine. If you're applying for an SDE role, take the following approach. Let's do them. First one goes. Prepare the core testing problems. Example, how would you test a light bulb? Well, I used to be able to do the shake test. So effectively what you have to do is say I walked in a room, got to like okay, yeah, just this up it it is. So I need to be able to this socket that I know works. for that end. See if it's effectively, or maybe even out. Put that in the thing. That'd be double the fun. You're expected. That's what we do. Like a pen. That's easy. Fill some paper and try to write on it. Cash register. Oh, those got kind of complicated. It's been a while since I've been Microsoft Word. The testing chapter will give you background problems. Practice the coding questions. Number one thing, SAT's objective for is coding skills. Although coding standards are typically lower for an SAT than for a traditional developer, SATs are still expected to be very strong in coding and algorithms. Make sure that you practice solving all the same algorithm questions that a regular developer would get. Practice testing and coding questions. A very popular format for SAT questions is, quote, write code to do X, unquote. Oh, that's code up by quote. Okay, now test it, unquote. Now that's a feeling. I was doing tests earlier because this time last year I was finishing up whatever I could for class, two classes this time last year, and I was doing prior to that for finals last week. Advanced object oriented using those. I had it down. I was like, I kind of sometimes or finding that's not a bad way to do it. Or prep for that. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Even when the question doesn't specifically require this, you should ask yourself, well, how would I test this? Remember, any problem can be an SAT problem. I'm the kind of gal who likes to check work, so I'm actually like, oh, cool. If anything, it gives you another way to talk about it. Like, oh, well, how's your logic? How do you know this? Well, obviously, blah blah. Okay, that's not about what I think about, even if you're not. Strong communication skills can also be very important for testers. The job requires you to work with so many different people. Select behavioral questions section. Word advice. Finally, word of career advice. If, like many candidates, hoping to apply to an SAT as the quote easy unquote way to a company. Alright. Be aware that me find it very difficult to move. Really. Oh, I was thinking this. Yeah, that came in my mind, but no. From the SAT dev position. Make sure to keep your coding and algorithm skills very sharp. Hope to make this move. And try to switch within 1 to 2 years. Otherwise, you might find it very difficult to be taken seriously in dev reviews. Never let your coding skills atrophy. On the phone, like the internship. Here, product program management. These PM roles vary widely across companies and within a company. Microsoft, for instance, some PMs mean sorry, may be essentially customer evangelists, working customer-facing role that borders on marketing. Across campus, though, other PMs, much of their day coding. Latter type of PMs likely be tested on coding. This is an important part of their job function. Generally speaking, yours PM positions requirements demonstrate skills in the following areas: handling ambiguity. This is typically not the most critical area for an interview. You should be aware that interviewers do look for skill here. Interviewers want to see that faced with an ambiguous situation, don't get overwhelmed and stall. They want to see tackle the problem head on, seeking new information, prioritizing the most important parts, solving the problem in a structured way. This typically will not be tested directly, but can be. But it may be one of many things that here is looking for a problem. I'm sorry, I don't do. But I just okay, we'll figure it out. Okay, well, we're just customer focus, attitude. Interviewers want to see attitude is customer focused. You assume that everyone use the product just you? Not at all. Or are you the type of person who puts himself in the customer's shoes and tries to understand how they want to use the product? Questions like, quote, design, alarm clock, or the blind, unquote. Oh, that's some great ideas. Creation, ding, ding, going on there. Plus, there is a blindness. There's a blindness called. Alright, what's still terrible? Well, I don't know. Got one other thing I could. Okay. Alright. I swear. Oh. Star Trek one. Okay, I got two ideas. I was using that couch to dampen the sound. Ugh. Okay. Still terrible. Trying any better? I just had to switch back to my Bluetooth. You would think the earbuds would have worked, but they are kind of just hanging around, so maybe they're too old. Oh, and I live by traffic, so I don't expect that to change traffic time. Okay, so glad I didn't expect traffic time. Alright, Ryan, are you still here? Back. I guess on. How well it's doing, I don't. Alright, I'm bored waiting. Alright, moving on. Customer focus attitude. Interviewers want to see that your attitude is customer focused. You assume that everyone. Design an alarm clock for the blind. Let's just start from this. Customer focused attitude. Interviewers want to see that your attitude is customer focused. You assume that everyone will start just like you, or are you the type of person who puts himself in customer's shoes, tries to understand they want to use the product? Questions like, quote, design an alarm clock for the blind, unquote, right, for examining this aspect. For a question like this, you're to ask a lot of questions to understand who the customer is, how they're using the product. Skills covered in the testing section are closely related to this. Customers focus. Technical skills. Some teams with more complex products need to ensure that their PMs walk in with a strong understanding of the product, as it would be difficult to acquire knowledge on the job. Deep technical knowledge of mobile phones is probably not necessary to work Android or Windows phone teams, though it might still be nice to have, whereas an understanding of security might be necessary to work on Windows security. Hopefully, students interview a team that requires specific technical skills, unless these claim to possess the requisite skills. Multi-level communication. PMs need to be able to communicate with people at all levels in the company, across many positions, ranges of technical skills. The interviewer will want to see that you possess this flexibility in your communication. To often examine directly, there are questions such as, quote, explain TCP, IP to your grandmother, quote. Communication skills can also be assessed by how you discuss your prior projects. Passion for technology. Happy employees are productive employees, though the company wants to make sure that you enjoy the job, excited about your work. Passion for technology, and ideally the company or team, will come across in your answers. You may ask a question directly like, quote, why are you interested in Microsoft, unquote. Additionally, your interviewers will look for enthusiasm in how you discuss your prior experience, how you discuss the team's challenges. You want to see that you will be eager to face the job's challenges. Teamwork/leadership may be the most important aspect of the interview, and, not surprisingly, the job itself. All interviewers will be looking for your ability to work well with other people. Most commonly, discuss questions like, quote, tell me about time when a teammate wasn't pulling his or her own weight, quote. The interviewer is looking to see you handle conflicts well, take initiative, to understand people, and that people like working with you. Work preparing for behavior questions is extremely helpful here. All of the above areas are important skills for parents to master, and are therefore key focus areas of the interview. The weighting of each of these areas will roughly match the importance that the area holds in the actual job. dev lead, and strong coding skills are always required for dev lead and often for management positions as well. They'll be coding on the job, and they're to be very strong with coding algorithms, just like a dev would be. Google in particular holds managers to high standards when it comes to coding. In addition, they're examined for skills in the following areas: work, leadership, E1, management-like role needs to be able to both lead and work with people, examined implicitly and explicitly in areas. Explicit evaluation will come in the form of asking you how you handled prior situations, such as you disagreed with the manager. Implicit evaluation comes in the form of your interviewers watching how you interact with them. If you come off as too arrogant or too passive, your interviewer may feel you aren't great manager. Prioritization. Managers are often faced with tricky issues, such as how to make sure a team meets tough deadlines. Interviewers want to see that you can prioritize a project appropriately, cutting the less important aspects. Prioritization means asking the right questions to understand what's critical, what you reasonably expect to accomplish. Communication. Managers need to communicate both above and below them, potentially with customers, other much less technical people. Interviewers look to see communicate at levels that you do so in a way that's friendly. It is in some ways an evaluation of your personality. Getting things done. Perhaps the most important thing that a manager can do is be a person who gets things done. This means striking a balance between preparing for a project and actually implementing. You need to understand how to structure a project, how to motivate people so you can accomplish the team's goals. Ultimately, most of these areas come back to your prior experience and personality. Be sure to prepare very, very thoroughly using interview preparation guide. Startups. Application interview process for startups is highly variable. I can't go through every startup. We can offer some pointers. Understand, however, that process as specific startup might application process. Many startups might post job listings, but for the hottest startups, often the best way in is through a personal referral. Reference doesn't necessarily need to be a close friend or a coworker. Often, just by reaching out and expressing your interest, you can get someone to pick up your resume to see if you're a good fit. Visas and work authorization. Unfortunately, many smaller startups in the US are able to sponsor a date with them. You do. You won't be able to convince them to hire you anyway. Our visa wish to work at a startup, the best bet is to reach out to a professional recruiter who works many startups and may have a better idea of startups who work these issues. To focus your search on bigger startups. resume selection factors. Startups tend to want engineers who are not only smart and can code, but also people who would work well in an entrepreneurial environment. Resume should ideally show initiative. What sort of projects have you started? Being able to, quote, hit the ground running, unquote, also very important. On people who already know the language of the company. The interview process. In contrast to big companies, tend to look mostly at your general aptitude and budget to software development. Startups often look closely at your personality fit, skill set, and prior experience. Personality fit. Personality fit is typically assessed by how you interact with your interviewer. Establishing a friendly, engaging conversation with your interviewers to get any job offers. Skill set. Because startups need people who can hit the ground running, you're likely to assess your skills with specific programming languages. If you know a language startup works with, make sure to brush up on the details. Experience. Startups are likely to ask you a lot of questions about your experience. Pay special attention to several question sections. In addition, the above areas, coding and algorithms questions that you see in this book are also very common. Acquisition. Acquihires. During technical due diligence process, positions require often interview most or all of the startup's employees. Google, Facebook, other companies have this as part of which startups go through this. Why? Part of the reasoning for this is that their employees to go through this process to get hired. Don't want acquisition to be quote easy, quote to the company. And since the team is a core motivator for acquisition, figure it makes sense to assess the skills of the team. Not all acquisitions, of course. The famous multi-billion-dollar acquisitions generally did not have to go through this process. Those acquisitions all are usually about the user base, community, less so about the employees. Assessing the team's skills is less essential. However, it's not as simple as, quote, acquihires get interviewed, traditional acquisition not, unquote. There is a big gray area between acquihires, i.e. talent acquisition, and product acquisition. Many startups acquired for the team, yes, behind the technology. The acquirer might discontinue the product, have the team work something very similar. If a startup is going through the process, you typically expect your team to have very similar to what a normal candidate experience. Therefore, very similar to what you'll see in this book. How important are these interviews? These interviews can carry enormous importance. They have three different roles. They can make, break, off. They're often the reason they can determine which employees offers to join the employer. They can affect the acquisition price part as a consequence for employees joining. These interviews are much more than a mere quote. Which employees quote. For tech startups, usually all of the engineers go through the process as they are one of the core motivators of the acquisition. In addition, sales, customer support, product manager, a role and to go through it. CEO is often slotted to a product manager interview, dev manager interview, as this is often the CEO's current responsibilities. Not an absolute rule, though. Depends on what the CEO's role presently is, what the CEO is interested in. Some of my clients, the CEO has even opted to not interview and to leave the company on the acquisition. What happens to the employees who don't perform well? Employees who underperform will often not receive offers to join the quarter. Many employees don't perform well, acquisition will likely not go through. In some cases, employees perform poorly interviews with contract positions. The purpose of knowledge transfer. These are temporary positions. The expectation that the employee leaves at the termination of the contract 6 months, although sometimes the employee ends up being retained. In other cases, the poor performance of the employee being spotted occurs in some situations. Sometimes startup labels someone who is not a quote traditional software engineer as a software. It often happens with data scientists, databases. Now we're going to let's see. In other cases, a CEO quote sells quote senior software engineer as more senior because underperforms for the senior bar because he's held in fairly high. In other case, sometimes the employee be re-interviewed for a more appropriate position. Other times, though, the employee is out of luck. In the rare cases, the CEO is able to override the decision for a particular strong employee to interview performance to cut this. Sorry. In rare cases, the CEO is able to override the decision for a particular strong employee to interview performance and cut this. For best and worst, employees surprise you. The problem solving algorithm interviews conducted at the top tech companies evaluate particular skills which might not perfectly match what their manager evaluates employees. Work with many companies that are surprised at who their strongest and weakest performers are in interviews. That junior engineer who still has a lot to learn about professional development may turn out to be a great problem solver in interviews. Don't count anyone out or in until you've evaluated them the same way the interviewers will. Are employees held to the standards as typical candidates? Yes. Though there is a big companies tend to take risk first approach to hiring. Someone is on the fence often leans towards no hire. In the case of an acquisition, the quote on the fence unquote employees can pull through a strong performance from the rest of the team. How do employees react to acquisition / acquihire? This is a big concern for many startup CEOs and founders. Will the employees be upset about this process? Or what if they get their hopes up? It doesn't happen. What I've seen with my clients is that the leadership is worried about this more than is necessary. Certainly, some employees are upset about the process, might not be excited about joining one of the for a number of reasons. Most employees, though, are cautiously optimistic about the process. Hope it goes through. No, that the existence of these interviews means that it might lots of cul-de-sac. Okay, I think I'm able to get through 4, like not do 4, do 4, and that first sooner. Anyway, doing the math, and I gotta take kill time, early time, I have to do. What happens to the team after acquisition? The situation is different. However, most of my clients have been kept together as a team, or possibly integrated into. How should you prepare your team? Do you prep for acquisition interviews? It's fairly similar to typical interviews. The difference is that your company is doing the team and that each employee wasn't an subject for the interview. Your owners, you're all in this together. Some startups I've worked with put their quote real unquote work on hold, have their teams spend the next 2 or 3 weeks on interview prep. Obviously, that's not a choice all companies can make, but from the perspective of wanting the acquisition to go through, it does increase your results substantially. Your team should study individually, teams of 2 or 3, or by doing mock interviews together. Possible use all 3 of the searches. Some people may be less prepared than others. Many developers and startups may have only vaguely heard of Go Time, binary search tree, breadth first search, other important concepts. They'll need extra time to prepare. People without computer science degrees or who earned their degrees some ago should focus first on learning the core concepts discussed in the book, especially Big O Time. One of the most important. Good first exercise is to implement all the core data structures, algorithms from scratch. If the acquisition is important to your company, give these people time they need to prepare. They'll need it. Oh, yeah? Good night. Okay, Ryan, good night. I was planning on just finishing up this chapter and then calling it myself. You didn't say if switching over to my earbud helped the sound or not. And also if switching to the sofa, if that helped anything. Anyway, good night. I'll see you later. I don't really feel like dancing tonight. Don't wait until the last minute. As a startup, might be used to taking things as they come without a ton of planning. Startups that do this with acquisition interviews tend not to fare well. Acquisition interviews often come up very suddenly. A company's CEO is chatting with an acquirer, several acquirers, and conversations get increasingly serious. The acquirer mentions the possibility of interviews at some point in the future, and all of a sudden, there's a quote, "I'm in at the end of this week," unquote message. Wait, but there's a firm date set for the interviews. Probably won't get much more than a couple of days to prepare. That might not be time for engineers to learn core computer science concepts and practice your questions. For interviewers, since writing last edition, I've learned that a lot of interviewers are using cracking the coding interview to learn how to interview. It wasn't really the best intention, but I might as well offer some guidance for interviewers. For interviews. Okay. Don't actually ask exact questions there. First, these questions were selected because good interview preparation. Some questions that are good for interview preparation are not always good for interview. For example, there are some brain teasers in the book because sometimes interviewers ask these sorts of questions. Worthwhile for candidates to practice those and for interviewing a company that likes them, even though I personally find them to be bad questions. Second, your candidates are reading this book. You don't want to ask questions their candidates have already solved. You can ask questions similar to these. Don't just pluck questions out of here. The goal is to test their problem-solving skills, not their memorization. Ask me hard problems. The goal of these questions is to evaluate some problem-solving skills. To ask questions that are too easy, performance gets clustered together. Minor issues substantially drop someone. It's not a reliable. Look for questions with rules. Some questions have aha moments. Trust or in particular type. The candidate doesn't get that one bit too poorly. They get it, suddenly outperformed many. Even if that insight is an indicator of skills, it's still only one indicator. Gayle want a question that has a series of hurdles, sites, or optimizations, multiple data points. Here's the test. You can give a hint to guidance. Makes a substantial difference. Candidate's performance. Probably not a good question. Hard questions, not hard knowledge. Some interviewers, in an attempt to make a question hard, literally make knowledge hard. Sure enough, your candidates do well on this so the statistics look right, but it's not for reasons that indicate much about the candidate's skills. Knowledge you're expecting candidates to have fairly straightforward. Data structure, algorithm knowledge. Reasonable to expect a computer science graduate to understand the basics of big O and trees. Most won't remember by stress algorithm or the specifics of how ABL trees work. If your interview questions expect obscure knowledge, ask yourself, is this truly an important skill? Is it so important that I would like to either reduce the number of candidates I hire or reduce which I focus problem solving your skills? Every new skill attribute to evaluate brings the number of offers extended. Thus, counterbalance by relaxing requirements for different skill. Sure, all else being equal, I prefer someone who could recite the finer points of a 2-inch thick algorithms textbook. But all else, avoid scary questions. Some questions in sense because it seems like they involve some specialized knowledge, even if they really don't. This often includes questions that involve math or probability, low-level knowledge, etc., design or scalability, proprietary systems, maps, etc. For example, one question I sometimes ask is to find all positive intersections under 1,000 to a cubed plus b cubed equals cubed plus cubed. Any candidates first think have to do subscript fancy factorization. This semi-advanced math. You don't. You need to understand the concept of exponents, sums, and equality. That's it. When I ask this question, I explicitly say, oh, this sounds like a math problem. Don't worry, it's not. Algorithm question. They start going down the path of factorization. Help them find them that it's not. math questions. Other questions might involve a bit of probability. It might be stuff that a candidate would know each pick between 5 options, pick a random number 1 and 5, between 1 and 5. But simply the fact that it involves probability will candidates. Careful asking questions sound intimidating. Remember that this is already a really intimidating situation. Candidates. Careful asking questions that sound intimidating. Adding on a quote scary unquote question might just fluster a candidate and cause him to perform. If you're going to ask a question that sounds scary, make sure you really reassure candidates it doesn't require the knowledge they think it does. Offer positive reinforcement. Some interviewers put so much focus on the quote right quote question that they forget to think about their own behavior. Many candidates are intimidated by interviewing. Try to read into the word. Explain to each thing that might possibly sound positive or negative. Interpret that little comment of quote good luck unquote something, even though you say it to everyone regardless of preference. Want candidates to feel good about the experience, about you, about the want them to feel comfortable. A candidate who is nervous to perform poorly, and it doesn't mean that they aren't good. Wherever a good candidate has a negative reaction to you or to the company is less likely to accept conquer. And might dissuade their friends from accepting yourself. Try to be warm and friendly to candidates. Easier for some people than others. Do your best. Even if being warm and friendly doesn't come naturally to you, you can still make a concerted effort to sprinkle in positive remarks throughout the interview. Quote, right, exactly. Unquote. Quote, great point. Unquote. Quote, good work. Quote, okay, that's a really interesting approach. Quote, perfect. No matter how poorly a candidate is doing, there's always something you got right. Find a way to infuse some positivity into the interview. Pro Beaver Pro questions. Many candidates are poor at articulating specific accomplishments. Ask them a question about a challenging situation. They tell you about a difficult situation. As far as you can tell, the candidate didn't do much. Else, though, the candidate might not focus on themselves because they've been trained to celebrate their team's accomplishments, not boast about themselves. This is especially common for people in leadership roles. And don't assume that a candidate didn't do much in the situation just because they have trouble understanding what they did. Call out the situation nicely. Ask them specifically if they can tell you what their role was. It didn't really sound like resolving the situation was difficult. Then again, probe deeper. Ask them to go into more details about how they thought about the issue, the different steps they took. Ask them why they took certain actions. Not describing details, the actions makes them flawed candidate, not necessarily flawed and being a good interview candidate is its own skill. After all, that's part of why this book exists. It's probably not one you evaluate. Coach your candidates through sections how candidates develop good algorithms. Many of these tips are ones offer as you are struggling. Not teaching us to do this. Separating interview skills from job skills. Many candidates don't use an example to solve an question. Don't use a good example. This makes it essentially more difficult to develop a solution, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not problem solvers. If candidates don't write an example themselves, or if they inadvertently write a special case to guide them, Some candidates take a long time to find the bug because, here's an earnest example, it doesn't make the cloud tester developer. That just means that they realize that it would be more efficient to analyze the code conceptually, or that a small example would work as well. Guide them. As they dive into code where they have an optimal solution, hold them back and focus them on algorithm. That's what to see. It's fair to say where they are. It's fair to say that I can't ever found or implemented a optimal solution. Didn't really have the time to do so. If they get nervous, stuck, aren't sure where to go, suggest to them walk through the brute force solution, look for areas to. They haven't said anything, and there is fairly obvious brute force behind them. They can start off with brute force. First solution is perfect. Even if you think that accountability, one of the areas is an important factor, not the only factor. You can always mark down for quote failing quote hurdle while helping guide them past it. While this book is here to coach candidates to interviews, one of your goals as an interviewer is to remove the effect of not preparing. After all, some candidates have studied for interviews, some candidates haven't. This probably doesn't reveal much about their skills as guide candidates use tips and book and reason, of course. You don't want to coach candidates through the problems so much that you're not evaluating their problem solving skills anymore. Careful here, though. If you're someone who comes off as intense, coaching could be worse. It can come off as you telling candidates constantly messing up by creating bad examples, not prioritizing testing the right way, so on. If they want silence, give them silence. One of the most common questions clients ask me how to deal with an interviewer who insists on talking, just need a moment to silence. If your candidate needs this, if your candidate learn to distinguish between stuck and I have no idea what to do, and I'm thinking it might help you to guide your candidate. It might help many candidates, but it doesn't necessarily help all candidates. Some need a moment. Give them that time. Count revaluing them that they got a bit less guidance than others. Know your mode. Synergy check. Quality specialist at a very high level or modes of identity check. These are often easy problem solving or it says the minimum of confidence problem solving won't tell distinct between okay versus great. So don't evaluate them as such. Use them early in the process to first account. Only need a minimum degree of confidence. Quality check. These are more challenging questions, often in problem solving or design. They're designed to reverse and really make a candidate think. Use these when algorithmic problem solving skills are high importance. Biggest mistake people will make here: asking questions that are in fact bad problem solving questions. Specialist questions. These questions test knowledge on specific topics such as Java or machine learning. Should be used for skills as it should be used for skills good engineering well. These questions seem to be appropriate for true specialists. Fortunately, I've seen situations where a company asks a candidate to complete a 10-week coding bootcamp detailed questions about Java. What does this show? If she has this knowledge, only learned it recently, therefore it's likely to be easily acquirable. If it's easily acquirable, there's no reason to hire for it. Proxy knowledge. This knowledge is not quite special. But you might not even need it. That subject matter at their level to know. For example, it might not be very important to you if a candidate knows CSS or HTML, but if a candidate has worked with F technologies, can't talk about why tables are or aren't good. That's just an issue. Not absorbing information or to their job. When companies get into trouble, when they mix and they ask specialist questions to people who aren't specialists. Hire for specialist roles don't need specialists. Specialists are only assessing pretty basic skills. They're asking sanity check, easy questions, but think they're asking quality check questions. They therefore interpret a strong difference. Okay, I'm great. A very minor detail I've separated. But having worked with a number of small, large tech companies hiring process, I have found that most companies train one of these things. Great. That's it. Oh, beautiful. I still don't know if it's resolved by now that I get a better feel of this book, I'm gonna next go and see if that helps things. Again, tried something with my computer, tried using a kind of sound thing at a totally different location that had a lot more echo screen in the traffic, so I will just stick back to what I'm used to using and we'll see if that improves. Alright, fine. Alright then. Oh, I do apologize for the audio. All I can tell is that it's bad. I don't know. But that being said, alright. Go ahead all night on my end, but I'm gonna be in the future. However, just make the most of it. Alright. Thank you. Bye bye.